I can't introduce Minister Farrakhan to you. He has introduced himself to you by his work. Let us just receive our minister. Let us bring our hands together. Let us welcome to the International Amphitheatre the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Let us receive him. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is but one God, creator of all things, revealer of all truth, and sender of all prophets. To him alone do I submit and seek refuge. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah, or the Old Testament. We thank Allah for Jesus and the Gospel. We thank Allah for Muhammad and the Holy Quran. But if I lived to be 1,000, I don't think I could ever thank Allah enough for raising up in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide, a man who has made the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran relevant books to the struggle of our people for justice, the man who taught me what I know, the man who made me what I am, and the man who gave me the example that I am emulating and trying to become. I'm speaking of none other than the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the Arabic language, Assalamu alaikum. To all of the distinguished platform guests, leaders, reverend clergy, brothers and sisters, I want to first start by thanking Brother Abdul Wali Muhammad, Brother Supreme Captain, Sister Captain Betsy Jean Farrakhan, Brother Supreme Captain Frank Muhammad, all of the staff of Mosque Number 2 or Mosque Mariam. For this would not have been possible without their hard work, their hard striving, and literally they made it all happen, because I was on the road doing this in cities across this nation. let us give a warm round of applause to all of the brothers and sisters who work so hard to make this happen. To those on this rostrum who have been strong leaders for our people, who want to see a stop to the killing, they aided in making this night what it is. They're members of the media who did their job. We thank all of you from the depth of our hearts. But most of all, we thank our people who are the sufferers of this scourge in our community. And we thank you, and I thank you from the depth of my heart for your coming out tonight to hear what it is we have to say, to stand on a line for several hours, to submit to a search, to even pay $10, and Michael Jackson is not here tonight, and then to turn around and give in charity. No one could ask this of you, and you respond, except that God has made a connection between us and you know that your brother, by God's grace, cannot be bought. Nobody can stop my tongue from speaking that word that will save our people. And because I am born for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, born to make his commission known, and born to serve you until God pleases to take me away, God himself is putting love in your hearts for your brother. And this is what has the enemy upset, because he wants to get to me, but he fears what might happen if he does. You have been so kind and so patient tonight. I do not wish to keep you long, but there are several points I would like to make tonight with respect to this theme, Stop the Killing. All over the United States, black men are killing black men in unprecedented numbers. We don't believe that this is an accident, brothers and sisters.
All right. Teach.
We believe that this is by design.
Right.
The Bible says, my people are destroyed for the lack of knowledge. Ignorance is our worst enemy, but then our open enemy is manipulating our ignorance and making us now deadly enemies in our ignorance to ourselves and to the emergence of our people. In America right now, a white woman has one chance in 606 of being murdered. A white man has one chance in 186 to be murdered. A black woman has one chance in 126 to be murdered. But a black man has one chance in 21 to go through this life and have it end by murder. And there is a 90% chance that he will be murdered by his own brother or his own sister, somebody that looks like him. In South Africa tonight, black men are killing black men over tribal differences, but at the core of it, Nelson Mandela says, there is a hidden hand. And that hidden hand is the right-wing racist element in South African society and in South African government that sees freedom coming. They see power coming. They see the promise of tomorrow coming. And they want to interfere with that freedom, that promise, and that power. So they are exacerbating tensions between the Xhosas and the Zulus, causing them to fight and kill one another so that white rule and white supremacy may continue in power. That same thing that you see in South Africa. And we cry about it because 1,800 blacks have died in South Africa. But guess what? One human being is murdered once every 24 minutes in America. Once every 24 minutes, a human being is killed. That means that by the end of the year, 23,000 human beings will die in America because of murder. And over 55% of all those murdered in America will be black. That means that nearly 12,000 black people will die in America this year. In Vietnam, in a 9-year period of war, America lost 55,000 killed. Black people were 35% of the casualties, which meant that 19,000 black people died in the war in Vietnam over a 9-year period. But in 1 year, 12,000 die in the inner cities. So in less than 2 years, more black people will die in the inner cities of America than in 9 years of war in Vietnam. What does that say? That it is safer for you in the jungles of Vietnam fighting an actual war than it is for black people to live in the inner cities of America. That is criminal. And the fact that white city government knows these statistics and nobody cares how many of us slaughter one another. There's no movement in city, state, or federal government that shows that white people are concerned about the slaughter of black lives on the city streets. And the sad thing about it is not enough black leaders are standing up voicing their sadness, their grief, their concern over the slaughter of young black men on the streets of America. We have to cry aloud today and spare not, because if we refuse to stand up today, there may be no tomorrow for us. This is not an accident. One black man in 21 will die by murder. The infant mortality rate has gone through the ceiling. We've already lost a generation before the first year of their lives. More black people dying from AIDS. More black women affected by AIDS, more black children affected by AIDS than any other group in America. Something is wrong. More black people affected by syphilis, more black people affected by gonorrhea. Something is wrong. More black men dying from stroke, from stress, from heart attack, from cirrhosis of the liver, from cancer, affecting black men more than anybody else. I ask you, is there a conspiracy in America against the black man? And if there is a conspiracy, who are the conspirators and where's it coming from? Brothers and sisters, I can't hold my tongue. I can't be sweet about the suffering of black people. No matter who gets angry, no matter who gets upset, I have to say what is the truth as I know it. If I die tomorrow, you'll know the truth tonight, and the truth will make you free. Paul in the scriptures said, we war not against principalities and powers. Against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness up in high places. Paul knew that the real enemy wasn't just the flesh and blood that you think is your enemy. You think your brother is your enemy. You think one organizational leader is your enemy, one politician is your enemy, but nobody stops long enough to look to see the hidden hand. The principalities, the powers, the spiritual wickedness in high places, the rulers of the darkness of this world. That's not you. You're not a principality. And you're not a power. You're not a ruler of the darkness of this world. And you're not spiritually wicked in high places. You are the pawns and the tools. So I plead with black political leaders, black spiritual leaders, black civic leaders. When we open our mouths, be careful that you are not a frog swallowed by a serpent, and the serpent got the frog in his mouth, and when the frog says blip blip, all the other frogs are attracted, but the frog is speaking out of the mouth of a serpent. And this is the way our leadership has become. They don't speak for the good and the hurt of our people. They speak the sentiment of the government of the United States. They speak the sentiment of our open enemies, and this is wrong, wrong, wrong. Speak for the voiceless. Speak for the hurt of the masses of our people. Speak for the liberation of the souls of black folk. Then we will be serving our people. The government of the United States, forgive me for being bold. The government of the United States has been and is the worst enemy of the future black people. It is the government of the United States that has destroyed our black organizations and murdered our black leaders. Everybody that would stand up for justice for us, the government found a way to bring them into court, to shoot them down, to destroy their reputation, to undermine their ideas, so that there is no continuity in leadership in the black community. Every generation has to start from scratch because they destroy that continuity. This is not the work of a friend. This is the work of an enemy. Let me prove my point. When the riots and the rebellions broke out in 64, 65, and 66, which gave us a public accommodations bill, a voting rights bill, through the hard work and dedication of Dr. King and the civil rights leaders and the civil rights movement, Dr. King came to the forefront in 1963 with his magnificent speech at the Lincoln Monument, "I have a dream." The next day, one of the field office heads of the FBI sent a letter, a memo, to a high-ranking FBI official saying, and I quote, "Martin Luther King Jr. is the most dangerous Negro in America." What made him dangerous? He had influence with us. And white folk want to know, if you got influence, will you use your influence in their behalf, or will you use it on behalf of your people? Martin Luther King Jr. pressed Lyndon Johnson when he came into office, and Lyndon Johnson said, "We will have a war on poverty." But while Lyndon Johnson was meeting with the civil rights leaders, his Attorney General, Bobby Kennedy, was bugging the home, the office, and the hotel rooms of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. While they were sitting down talking to our leaders about a march, a war on poverty, Lyndon Johnson was fabricating an incident in the Gulf of Tonkin to widen the war in Vietnam. From 50,000 soldiers, he widened it to 500,000 soldiers. So when Dr. King said, "Look, The money that you promised to mainstream black people, you are sending it to Vietnam. I've got to stand up against the war in Vietnam. And when Martin Luther King Jr. stood up against the war in Vietnam, many black preachers closed their church doors to Dr. King and backed away from Dr. King. But Dr. King stayed the course because he knew that as long as America had no will to mainstream black people into the fruits of American life, then generations would be lost through poverty, despair, hopelessness, homelessness, drugs, alcohol, joblessness, and fratricidal conflict. So Dr. King opposed the war and ended up being assassinated. A year or so later, Ho Chi Minh and the Viet Cong overran the South Vietnamese, and the Americans had to run out quickly. And when they ran out, they left more war material. They left money. They left gold. And the Vietnamese then became the fourth most well-equipped army in the world with what America left behind. That was our money they left behind. What do you mean, our money? Just give me a minute. That was the money that was supposed to go for the war on poverty. Let me respectfully say to you, there has never been an American administration that cared enough about you to make you the centerpiece of their administration, healing the wounds inflicted on us by slavery. And now, President Bush, President Bush has the will to bail out the savings and loan industry.
All right. Come on, Minister.
At the tune of $500 billion of the taxpayers' money. Let me say that again. He has the will to bail out the savings and loan industry at the tune of $500 billion. That's $500 billion. Jesse Jackson asked the government through some of the pension programs to loan 10% of $80 billion to black America to rebuild the cities where we live. Nobody listened to Jesse. The Urban League put out a document and literally begged the government, put some money back into the black community, cut back on your war material, and give some of that money to the cities. Here's our mayor, former mayor, Mayor Eugene Sawyer. Across the street in Gary, Indiana, we had our mayor, Hatcher. We vote them in. White folks move out. Take the tax base with them. There's no help from the federal government for cities now. And we live in the cities and are dying in the cities from neglect. Now, Mr. Bush has the will to bail out the savings and loan industry, but he don't have the will to help black people out of this condition. America had the will to bail out Europe with a Marshall Plan and rebuild Nazi Germany after we fought, bled, and died in that theater of war. America had the will to rebuild Japan, so much so that of the 10 largest banks in the world, 9 of them are Japanese. The Japanese are investing heavily in America, and they said they're not going to buy no more treasury bills until America gets her fiscal policy in order. But there's a subtle hint from the Japanese that America got to do something about their Negro problem, their black problem, or their nigger problem. I want you to listen to me good. These are the same Japanese whose cars we buy, whose tape recorders we buy, whose gadgets we buy. But the Minister of Justice in Japan just a few days ago said, when they were cleaning out an area of prostitutes, that cleaning out the prostitutes is like cleaning out Negroes, because when prostitutes come in, the value of community goes down, and when black people come in, the same thing happens in America. Do you think that the Japanese want to invest in America with the cities getting ready to explode? The minute Farrakhan began to become popular in America, guess who came to interview me?
Come on, Minister.
Dutch television, BBC television.
Come on.
I said, why are you desirous of interviewing me? And they said, well, we've heard a lot about you and we just wanted to talk with you. I said, well, let's start by being honest.
Right. Come on, Minister. Come on, Minister.
I said, isn't it true that the #1 investor in America is the British? He said, yes. And I asked the Netherlands, isn't it true that you are the #2 investor? They said, yes. I said, well, that's what you're questioning me for. You want to know, is it safe? You want to know what I'm thinking, because if I'm stirring up the natives, you want to know in what direction they're being stirred up. Brothers and sisters, nobody wants us. We don't have too many friends in the world that understand our plight and our condition and have compassion on us. And so when they see us slaughtering each other, there are those who say that's good, because they're multiplying too fast anyway. Give me just a couple more minutes. They have programmed into the economy black unemployment. so that you will not be able to find a job. Then they can advertise saying that you can be all that you can never be in society. You can be it by sending your son or your daughter now to join the army. Now this same Mr. Bush that has no will to bail out the black community, but has a will to bail out the SNL. All of a sudden, Saddam Hussein moves into Kuwait. And Mr. Bush says, we must protect our way of life.
All right. Yeah.
Whose way of life, Mr. Bush? We need protection because our way of life is killing us. We are poor, ragged, hungry, naked, and out of doors. You couldn't be talking about protecting black folks' way of life. You're talking about protecting your way of life, the way of life of the rich and the white middle class, and maybe the black middle class too.
Come on.
So the army is filled with poor blacks, poor whites, poor Chicanos. Mr. Bush's son is not in the army. He's robbing the SNL. But now, you and my children, you and my nephews and nieces are sitting up in the desert of Saudi Arabia. What are you there for? Well, we have to protect a vital interest of our nation. I'm not going to let you get away with that. I want to ask the President of the United States, and I want to ask the Saudi government, when have you made black people vital interest to you? Don't be angry with me. I'm only asking a question. If we are not of any vital interest to Mr. Bush and the American government and the American people, then send your sons to defend your vital interest, since we are of no interest to you. And as long as Saudi Arabia can invest billions of dollars in the economy of America, but nothing in the black community to help build our communities, I have to demand now, since we're gonna die in the desert, I want some action from both of those governments for the black masses of America. Our lives are not worth anything to those who calculate our death. Pharaoh saw the children of Israel multiplying, and he said, "Come, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, join on to an enemy of ours, and come against us." So Pharaoh hatched a plan to kill all the male children of the children of Israel and spare the female. That's written in the Bible and Quran. You that study and teach scripture, don't bring us no religion that's not relevant to our suffering.
That's right.
We want religion, but don't give us no religion that puts us in a time machine. We either going backward in time or going ahead in time to the heavenly gates, but nobody's showing us how to live here, how to live now, how to overcome our enemy now, how to overcome our weakness now. We need a now religion. Don't be upset. The Bible is relevant. The Quran is relevant. But we who study it and we who teach it must make the books relevant to the experience of the people. White folk have studied your birth rate, and they have said that our birth rate right now is twice theirs. They said that by the year 2000, white folks will be at zero population growth, meaning a death for every birth. And if you notice, the white population is getting older and grayer. The black population getting younger and stronger. Now, look at this. They had an article in one of the weekly magazines titled "The Browning of America." The browning of America. This didn't mean that everybody took a laxative. It meant that with so many black people having babies, so many Chicanos having babies, so many Asians and Arabs having babies, and the whites not being able to have so many, that in less than 100 years, America would be a brown reality. The demographers say in less than 100 years, black people will be the majority population in America. Now, a racist mind is thinking, we can't let those black people populate themselves into power. You know how they were saying, "Run, Jesse, run." If they keep making babies, less than 100 years from now, "Run, Jesse, run" won't be a slogan. One of these little children today may very well rule America tomorrow, but those racists say we got to deal wisely with them. And what's the plan? Kill all the male children and spare the female. Y'all all right? I'm getting right to the core now. Couple more points. Why do you think they want to kill the male child and spare the female? What is it about the male that has the white man upset? Someone up here said it's the black male that makes the babies. Well, that's true. That's true. But let's go a little deeper. Let's go a little deeper. Have you noticed the squabble between the black male and the black female? I guess you have noticed it. You notice we don't get along too well. Black women, by and large, are very unhappy, very unfulfilled, very disgusted. Not only disgusted with their role, but disgusted with their men. Listen, but I want to say to you, sisters, it's not the fault of the men, nor is it your fault. There's that hidden hand again that we got to expose and bring out. Do you know why men are dying more of stroke than women? Men got more stress on them than women. You working hard. Why is the man so stressed out? You got the jobs. You got the money. Why is he stressed? He's sitting at home. He ain't got nothing to do. Why is man so stressed? We got to stop the killing. Bear with me now. We're going to get a little deep. If you look at the condition of the black man, God has to make man all over again. But if you don't know how God made man in the beginning, you won't be able to make him again. Your life is so precious. You must never get the thought to harm yourself or another human being. This life is a precious life. Do you know who you are? Do you know what your potential is? We kill each other over things because we have been reduced to things. Let me move quickly. In the book of Genesis, Reverend, God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let us give them dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every creeping thing that crawls upon the earth. Let's stop right there. God never said, let us make niggers. No, listen to me. I'm not being vulgar. I'm not being vulgar. God didn't say, let us make colored people. God said, let us make man.
Come on, brother.
And then he said, let us give him dominion. In the very genesis of the Bible, that's where that is. In the word Genesis is the word gene or genetics, meaning that in the very coding of the black man, every male, whether he's Chinese, Arab, white, every man is born to have dominion. Dominion means the capacity to rule, to govern. That's in the nature of every man. And when a man cannot govern himself or anything around him, when he does not have the knowledge of how to govern, then he is not acting in accord with his nature. Every man is a ruler, but when a man has nothing to rule, he's not in accord with his nature. Let's go on. Let's give him dominion. Fine. Power. Men are creatures that are attracted to and love to exercise power. A woman don't want a man who has no power, because a woman cannot depend on a man to do for her if he has no power to do. Talk to me. All praise is due to Allah. Now look at this. Y'all all right? We're in the Genesis now. We're in the genes of the man. God said to the man, look at these orders. Be fruitful. Multiply. Replenish the earth and subdue it. That's not just written in the Bible. That's in your nature, brother. You are supposed to be fruitful. Well, I am. I've had 35 children. No. That's not what we mean. Although that is being fruitful. It means produce, multiply. When you went to school and you learned multiplication, you take a multiplier, a multiplicand, you get a product. That's the nature of man. Man is by nature a producer. And when a man is producing nothing, his nature is dead. Therefore, he lives in stress because he's not productive. He's not fruitful. He's not multiplying. He's not replenishing the earth. He's not subduing it and bringing it under his capacity to govern, to rule. Y'all all right? Listen to me now. God put all of this in every man. Every man in here, no matter what color, all of this is in the man. Well, just a minute, Farrakhan. And when the woman gonna come on the scene now, what has she got to do about this? I understand. I'm coming right to it. Wait a minute, I gotta take it in sequence. God didn't say let's make woman first. He said let's make man. Then he said, I don't want you to be alone. Come on. You need companionship. going to give you woman as a help meet. No, not mate. Meet. That's a big difference. A mate don't have to help you to meet nothing. Meeting, y'all all right? When two things meet, they join. A woman is to help a man meet the responsibility that God placed on him. She's his help. And let me tell you something, brother. There's not a woman in here who is unable to help any man, no matter how high his station. A woman can help any man, and every man meet the requirements that God has put on that man. But now, y'all all right? Listen. But when a man has no power, no dominion, is not productive, cannot multiply. I'm not talking about impotence in the sexual sense. Impotence in the spiritual, intellectual sense. When a man is impotent here, and then he says, sweetheart, I love you. Let's get married and you be my helpmeet. Then she asks you, where you going? I don't know. What you doing? I ain't doing nothing. A woman cannot help a man do nothing. And if you want to break up your home, just marry a woman and think that's all she's there for is sex and pleasure, and you have no idea, no aim, no plan, no program for your future. You're going to lose your wife, brother, because she's supposed to help you do something, not do nothing. All praise is due to Allah. I'll be through in a minute. Sisters, am I right? I want you to listen, brothers. Listen a minute. Brothers, listen. Sisters, am I right? Women are so sick of us coming to them for pleasure and haven't done no work. You're supposed to qualify for pleasure, brother. Oh, Lord. Now, don't be mad at me, brothers. I don't mean to mess up your thing, you know what I mean? But now, the woman and the man are at each other's throat. The man is talking about you bad. Go in the barber shops. No, don't go there. Don't go there. And brother, if you could get in the beauty parlor and hear how they run us down, brother. I married that so-and-so, he ain't nothing. I thought he was all right. Now, you know why you're talking like this, sister? See, in white society, two things can't occupy the same space at the same time. Now, if the white man has dominion in his world, he's not going to let you and me have dominion in his world. That's why he can deal more easily with a woman, because the woman will help him keep dominion. But a man wants dominion for himself. Do you hear what I'm saying? So in this world, brother, the whole idea of the educational system is to train you to serve the master. And if you look like you're rebelling, you end up in jail, on drugs, in crime, because you want to rule. And he's not going to let you rule in his house unless he controls you. I got to say it again now. I want you to listen. White folk are not about to turn over their world to a black man. They're not going to do it, brother. They will let a black woman share their power, because the woman is not going to challenge him for rule. She'll help him to rule. But a man, brother, his nature is such, he got to have dominion. That's why you don't have no men in the church. Reverend, I got to talk to us. The men have left the church. You know why they left, Reverend? Because you got their wives as a helpmeet. Because you're doing something, Reverend, and the wives help you do it. But where we're making mistakes is we are not preparing the men for rule. And therefore they don't want to be in the church. They're out in the street. Now we're at each other's throats. Stop the killing. We got to stop the killing. Now, 2 more points. Every human being is special. I am looking in this audience at my superiors. I'm going to say that again. I am looking at my superiors. God has given me a gift, but he didn't give it all to me. He gave each one of you a unique gift that it is your duty and responsibility to develop, so that God may become manifest in you. And then God is glorified by you. The sun, the moon, the stars, the birds, the insects, they all glorify God. Man is the glory of God. Woman is the glory of God. But look at our condition. We are not realizing at all our potential. We have been killed mentally. After they kill us mentally, then we do the rest. How did we get in this condition? This is the next to the last point. How did we get in this condition? Some of us are going to die never even realizing what and who we are. We are going to die not even knowing why God caused us to come into existence. Did you know that God never made a man to play basketball? God didn't make you to run no football. God didn't make you to beat your brother up and call yourself champion. That gift in physical prowess is a sign of an even greater gift in intellectual and spiritual ability. But since this world don't want to see you in your superpower, they love to see you. They like that. They can handle that. They love this. They like that. That kind of black person they can deal with. They like you. They like that. Dance, Bojangle, dance. They like that. But Bojangles, Sammy Davis, every one of your entertainers and your sports figures are deeper than their sport. They are broader than their sport. If you ever could get that part of them attracted, you have magnificence hiding there. You know, sometimes you can look at the earth and you can say, I see signs on the outside that there's something down there, there's oil down there, there's gold down there. But if you don't know what you're looking at, you don't know how to go after what is in the person. This world knows that you are powerful. But this world will never develop your power. Because once your powers are developed, you will eclipse their power. So nobody is to teach you and bring out of you what God has deposited within you. And every leader that has ever attempted to do that, it wiped him out. How did we get in this condition? Just bear with me a few more minutes. Have you ever read in the Bible, Reverend? It says, I saw a pale horse. His rider was death, and hell followed closely behind. Did you know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us that he never wanted us to eat horse meat, even though horse meat is a very good meat? He didn't want us to eat horse meat. And one day he said, you know, brother, the horse is the most intelligent of all the beasts. And because its intelligence is akin to human intelligence, we don't eat the horse, for it is almost like eating another human being. Now, in the Revelation, there's a pale horse, and death is the rider. Now, no matter how much horse you got, once it has a rider, that means it has been broken. Are you listening? But this pale horse had a rider called death. And then hell followed closely behind. What is the scripture talking about? You notice the Bible closes talking about 4 beasts. And it talked about the people of God having the mark of the beast in their forehead and in their hands. Huh? A human being can act like a beast, and a human being can reflect God's attributes. It depends on who's the rider. Listen now. We are the most intelligent of all the creatures that God created, but who rides your intelligence determines what follows behind you. Now, what is death? Follow me, I'm almost there. What is death? The Bible says all in Adam die. The New Testament says the wages of sin is death. What is sin? Transgression of the law. Now, brothers and sisters, whether you know it or not, your minds are created by a master for you to obey your creator. The only way you can evolve to be who God created you to be, you have to submit to the will of God. If you submit to a doctor, what will a doctor make you? A doctor. That's how you became a doctor. You submit to a lawyer will make you into a lawyer. But you gotta have a lawyer in front of you to make you a lawyer. Well, if you submit to God, what will God make you? He will make you into a reflection of his own attributes. Listen now. But what is this death that rides the horse? Brothers and sisters, I respectfully submit to you that the leaders of this world have rebelled against God. They're highly intelligent, but rebellion against the will of God sets death over their intelligence. So everywhere the rulers of this world go, they bring hell right in the track behind them. Are you listening to me? You see this book? It's kind of reddish brown like. See this handkerchief? It's white. I got a pen. It's black. So you got black, white, and some other color. The pen is not as heavy as the book, and the handkerchief, as white, is the lightest of all. Put it to mine. Now, if I drop these, which one will hit the ground first? This is heavier. You think it would? This is lighter. You think it will? This is blacker. Maybe. Let's see. The point is, how many of you think the book will hit first because it's heavier? Raise your hand. How many of you think that the handkerchief will hit first because it's lighter and of course whiter? And how many of you think the pen gonna hit first just because it's black? That's the thing. Now look, I'm gonna drop these three. And let's see what happens. I'm gonna throw them up and then let them fall. Watch. What happened? What happened? No, they all hit at the same time. You know why? You know why? Because when I threw it up, I threw it into a law. And the law rendered everything equal. That's the point. That's the point. Now, when you build a world where you have no equality under the law, you are creating mischief. You are setting up death. The point is, in this world of white supremacy, if you're white, they make it so you can go there where you want to go. The blacker you are, the more hell you catch. Not only from white people, but from your own people. So this kind of world, based on skin color, is death. Injustice rules this world. Therefore, the intelligence of the rulers, who happen to be white, their intelligence is ruled by death, because they have rebelled against the law and the will of God. So their world is a world that produces hell. Come on. And guess what? We were born in their world. So the scripture says we are born in sin and shaped in iniquity. We are born in a world that whatever God said you shall not do, white folks said it's all right, go ahead. So they have messed up their world, and since we're in their world, they messed us up too. Now look at you. Look at us. Do you think death is not riding our intelligence? You are highly intelligent, but look at what you do. The mark of the beast is in our forehead and in our hands. Brothers and sisters, we have created hell in our homes, in our schools, in our churches, in our mosques, in the society, because rebellion rides our intelligence. We are following the rulers of the world who have rebelled against God and set up a society of death. And now, how many Masons are in here tonight? Would you raise your hand? All Masons and Shriners. Okay, most of the people are not Masons, but I want to talk to the Masons and to the people. You notice, Mason, when you get your first 3 degrees, you say you were at a what? A dead level. Watch this now. See, when you're horizontal, that's a dead level. When you are raised from the dead to a living perpendicular, watch it now. You go to a living perpendicular, you make right angles to the earth. How many degrees is in a right angle? How many? 90. Isn't that something? How many degrees do they offer you in the lodge? 33. Oh, well, let's look at that now. Follow me. You've been raised. Follow this now. If you are raised half of 90 degrees, that is an acute angle, 45 degrees. But you are less than 45. You 32, 33, you just about crawling. There's your beast. You don't have enough knowledge to come all the way up. You just crawling. Water freezes at what temperature? 32. Then everybody below 32 is frozen. And when you freeze something, it is what? Dead. Talk to me. All right, now look at this. Y'all all right? When you get to the 32nd degree or 33rd degree, you begin to say, Assalamu alaikum. You begin to say, there's no God but Allah. And you begin to know something about the Holy Quran. And you begin to say, I spied Mecca. But you can't go there. You can just spy it. Brothers, don't get angry. Sisters, don't get angry. You haven't yet been raised. And the secret to the whole thing is you. You notice you never try to integrate the white shrine. You integrate everything else except the shrine, the white shrine. You know why? Because you're the secret. The secret revolves around a man named Hiram, who was a master architect. And somebody schemed on Hiram, hit him in the head, and brought him on a westerly course and buried him in a shallow grave in the north country where the light don't shine. People were trying to raise him and couldn't get him up until the master came with the master grip, and he pulled Hiram up out of the grave. Once Hiram came up, his knowledge of the plans for the building of the temple could go forward, but nothing could happen as long as Hiram was in the grave. All right, we're at the end now. Brothers, sisters, white folks know that you are the descendants of master builders. And they conspired on our fathers, hit them in the head, and brought us out of the east on a westerly course and buried us in the north corner, North America, where we have not had any light. But the scripture says the people that walked in darkness have seen a great light. Upon them hath the light shined. The lost sheep, here they are. The prodigal son, here he is. He went astray in a strange land, and now God wants to take death from your mind. Throw off the rider and let God ride your intelligence, and you will come up from death into life, and you'll be able to say, "O grave, where is your victory? O death, where is your sting?" You are the people that the whole world is waiting on to get up. And Bush and company know your future and want to keep you ignorant so that anybody who will raise you up, they will destroy. Now, in conclusion, I don't want anybody to move. Please, sisters, as I leave you, we want you to understand the sacredness of your wombs and stop the killing. You cannot say to your children, It's wrong for you to be a gangbanger and kill your brother in a gang at 13, and the mother kills the fruit of the womb. Listen, you sisters have the right of choice. You do have the right of choice, but you must choose who you will lay down with. And you must choose morality over immorality, decency over indecency. But once life is forming in your womb, don't kill the fruit of your womb. Why? Because through your wombs will come the answer to every need of our people. Your womb is sacred. Sisters, you are sacred. You are fashioned after the womb of the universe, out of which God created light, sun, moon, and star. He makes your womb to correspond with that womb. And if you will allow God to ride your intelligence, then God's intelligence here will produce God's intelligence here. And you will not produce grapes of wrath, but you who love Jesus, you just become like Mary, and you produce Jesus again and again and again and again and again. So I'd like to close this, don't move, by giving you a personal story from my life that I share with audiences across the country because I think it's necessary. My mother, about a year before she passed, told me that she regretted the fact that she tried to kill me when I was in her womb. She said, I tried to abort you 3 times with a hanger, and it didn't work. And I decided to let you be. You know why she wanted to kill me? Because she became pregnant with me under circumstances that were not the best. And sometimes, sisters, you will become pregnant under circumstances that just not proper. And to hide the fact that you are pregnant, you'll think of abortion first. Now, I don't want any sister in here to get any guilt feelings, because that's not what I'm saying this for. What was is past. It's gone. We can't get it back. And God doesn't necessarily want you to feel guilty over what was. But just listen to this. My father was a real light-skinned, what you would call handsome man. My mother was a real black, beautiful woman. You know how some of these so-called handsome men are? They like to sort of play. My mother's a serious woman. She wanted a man. She didn't want a man, you know, that was going about. She really loved the man, but she got tired of the man. And one night while he slept, she did him in. And when he woke up, he was in bad shape. And that was the end of that marriage. She married my brother's father, and she had my older brother. But you know something about these first loves? They sneak back in the picture. And that light-skinned, handsome man came back to his former wife, and I was conceived during that time. Now, a man may not know what's going on, but women always know what's happening. My poor mother was in serious trouble. When she couldn't get rid of me and decided to have me, my brother's father was rather dark, and he wanted a girl. So she said, well, I hope I get a little girl, and God, I sure hope he's black. You understand? Now you may wonder, well, why are you telling this? We didn't know this. You didn't have to tell this. It ain't none of our business. It isn't your business. But I think sometimes when people who are in high positions and people admire them tell you something about their life that is not so admirable, it helps you to face things in your life. People in positions always try to make the other people think they're so holy, so pure, they don't make no mistakes, and then they beat the hell out of the people and make them think they're all sinners. Ain't nothing up here righteous. No, not one. And that's a fact. And I ain't saying nothing wrong, did I? I'm doing the best I can. Striving to be right. My point is, sisters, I'm really talking to you and to the brothers. My mother knew she was in trouble, and the only person she could turn to was God. And that woman prayed and prayed and prayed. I'm forming in her womb now. And her prayers went down into what she was making. The circumstances on the outside were bad. It forced her to go to God and put God all in me. Listen, 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 listen. This is how it's done. Because it's not just what you eat that makes your baby. It's what you think that makes your baby. Now, my mother was in such trouble, she kept her mind stayed on God. And one night, she said, well, I'll leave that for later. She just kept praying. So when I was born, when she looked at me, the masquerade was sure over. There ain't no way in the world my brother's father would ever look at me and think I was his because my hair was rather blonde and I was very light, very light. So her husband had to know the truth, and it broke up the second marriage. And my mother took my brother and me, and from that day on, she gave her total life to my brother and me. She was a God-fearing woman who made a mistake. She was so independent and so hurt that she hurt the man. She never asked none of them for a dime. She just took my brother and me alone, like most of you sisters got these babies, but no man. But don't you ever give up, because in your womb, you didn't even know you were pregnant, but God knew. You didn't form the clot, the embryo and the fetus, but God did. So none of us are really ever alone. You don't need a lot of company to do what you know is right. Just call God to be with you, then stand up like a man and a woman, and you can conquer. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know. My mother put God in me. And when I came out, I was a strange child. Everybody that saw me said, he gonna be something. Not because I was light-skinned, but there was a certain spirit in me. You can go back and get all my teachers. They knew I was a man that they could not play with. My mother beat the hell out of me, not for the things I did, but for the lie I told to cover the thing I did. So she'd say with her beautiful West Indian accent, I ain't beating you just for the thing you did. I beating you for the lie you tell. And she wore me out. Then after she got finished scalding my backside, she would say, boy, when you're wrong, you can be strong. But when you're right, you can always fight. And so I built my life. I'm just telling you straight up. I built my life on truth. And I built my life on trying to be right so that I could always fight. So my mother, before she died, I went into her room and she was cradling her womb. And she said, son, I thank God for what my womb produced. She said, I feel sorry for you have a very hard life. So many people depending on you. She said, but son, do you remember I told you that when I was carrying you in my womb, in a dream, I was walking and the street began to raise up and I began to fall backwards. And a voice said, pray. And I said, what shall I pray? And the voice said, say, Lord, help me to overcome my difficulties. And when I said that, son, the road went down. She said, remember that prayer, because your life will be full of difficulties. and she passed on. Now, every woman in here, you do not know what your womb is holding, and you do not know the future of the little child sitting next to you. Take care of that son. Take care of that daughter. Give them the best that you have, because that child may be another Abraham, another Moses, another Hannibal, another Muhammad, another Tamerlane. It may be a giant. Let the child be. And those sisters who may have had an abortion, if you will remember the words of Jesus, when the woman was found in adultery and he wrote in the sand, "Who is without sin, let him cast the first stone," and nobody could cast the stone, Jesus said, "Woman, where are your accusers?" And then he said, "Neither do I accuse you. Go and sin no more." And now, brothers and sisters, let's get some marching orders so we can leave here today and take care of the business that's necessary. From this point on, do we want to stop the killing?
Yes, sir.
Then I got something for everybody to do. Every preacher, no, you're getting your marching orders. Don't leave before you get your orders. Every clergyman, we got to hook up, because this is not a Muslim thing. It's Muslim, Christian, Hebrew, every denomination of religion, African religions. We all got to put our heads together and develop the strategy from the scriptures that you believe in to teach our people that will make them stop the killing of each other. I have some very good ideas based on the Old New Testament Quran, but Brother Hannibal Afrique has to help me with the African traditional religions. But I'll tell you, in our history, we got some religion, brother, that will cause us to stop the killing. If the religious people come together, we started in the pulpits getting our people to learn to love themselves and to do justice by themselves. Business people, we have to create economic opportunity for our young people. And the masses have to support black business in order that black business may expand to hire more of our own kind, so we won't have to be out in the street selling drugs. The black business community is an important community, but they have to do their part to stop the killing. What about the elected officials? We got city council persons here. Alderman Streeter, Dorothy Tillman, I don't know anymore, Alderman Evans. We have state legislator Monique Davis. Well, you know, we need to fashion some legislation that Alderman Evans, Alderman Tillman can put before the city council, because we need some budgeting to finance what we're about to do for black community to stop the killing. I don't see no reason why we can't fashion legislation, put it before the city council and force it on through. We can do that. Now we're going to come together after this meeting is over to work out a strategy, a comprehensive program. And if it works in Chicago, we'll work it all over America. What about young people? We got something for every young soldier in here to do. All the young men, young brothers, you are the warriors. We'll never be successful until we have an army. Watch out now. That speaks to the needs of our community. We must be the protectors of our community. Every young man must be a soldier to protect his own community. We do not need white law enforcement in the black community. We can enforce the law in our own community. You don't think so? We hope to get to that point where we can say to the downtown people, you take your police somewhere else. We got this. We're going to have to learn to deal with drugs and deal with the pushers with justice. Too much rape going on in the black community. Any man that rapes a woman has to be able to pay a price, and he will never do that again, brother. And we're not going to look to the courts. We're going to look to the streets. How many men are ready to form that kind of army that will straighten up our own communities and make them a decent place to live? Stand up on your feet, black man. Look at it. Boy, this is something. Thank you, brothers. Hold on 1 minute. What about the parents? Sit down a minute. What is the job that the parents got to do? Every parent don't spend so much time in front of that foolish television. Every mother, instead of learning the latest dance, every woman must begin to become knowledgeable, because a foolish woman makes a foolish child, but a wise woman will make a strong, wise black nation. We got to have wise black women, so you got to study to make yourself wise. Is that right? Did you know that most of our sickness comes from eating the wrong foods, living in unclean environments? Let me talk. Any media people here? Media people, would you raise your hand? Radio, television. Let me say this. We want some time on radio and television for the scholars that are sitting up here and are out here that can begin to impart knowledge to our people and less foolishness to our people. We have to demand that these radio stations stop this filth and funk and begin to feed some sense into our people. Access television. We want Conrad Warren to have access to television. We want former Alderman Cliff Kelly to have access to television. We want Hannibal Afrique to have access to television, so that what? We can impart knowledge to our people, because our people are suffering from ignorance. The media has a part to play, and we're not going to back you with our dollars so you can kill our minds with foolishness. Huh? What about the educators? Something for every educator to do. In order to educate, you got to know the needs of your community. We can't give them a Eurocentric perspective. We have to give our children an Afrocentric education that makes them love themselves, respect themselves, and want to work to build for themselves. Huh? What about our senior citizens? Is there something for our seniors to do? Don't you know when a person lives 60 or 70 years in hell, they're wise? There's not a society on earth like this one that disrespects the elderly. Our elders have to be our counselors. They have to be the people that we look to, bring problems to, that they can help us because they have life experience, not college degrees. And lastly, our entertainers and our athletes. The athletes have a responsibility. The entertainers have a responsibility. I want to say to Skywalker and to the Not Too Live crew and to our young entertainers who have become purveyors of filth. We have to make some discipline. You know, it's bad for us to see our women with their backsides exposed on any album. That's degrading to us. I don't think an intelligent white woman should do it. But if they want to do it, that's their business, but not us. Don't expose your woman and degrade your woman. And any performer that will come out on the stage and take out their private part, we ought to go grab him and beat the hell out of him, drive him from the stage, and maybe chop it off. We can't let these performers get away with filth. We got to show them we don't like it and make them do better. Everybody got a responsibility so we can stop the killing. May God bless each and every one of us as we leave here tonight. Let's go from this place determined from this day forward we will never harm ourselves, our people, our women, never abuse our children. Thank you for listening, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum. Brothers and sisters, let's have prayer. Let's have prayer together before we go. How many of you tonight believe that what you heard, that it is the truth and good for us as a people? Would you just raise your hands? How many of you would like to unite with me and with these who have signed on to stop the killing and map out a program, a strategy, and work it in Chicago to put an end to the senseless killing of our people? Would you raise your hands? Would you say these words after me with your hands raised? I believe in Moses and the Old Testament. I believe in Jesus and the New Testament. I believe in Muhammad and the Holy Quran. I bear witness that there is but one God, whose proper name is Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. When you said that, we united Christians, Jews, and Muslims, all as one faith. What does the scripture say? One faith, one Lord, one baptism. So when you leave here today, don't you ever allow yourself to be divided because one is a Baptist, one is a Catholic, one is a Methodist, one is a Muslim, one is a CME, one is an AME. We are all believers in the one God. Brothers and sisters, thank you, and may Allah bless you as I greet you in peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Can't walk too good.